Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab NBA. I'm your host, Jack Heverin, and I'm joined by our resident expert and a man who's far more popular than Dylan Brooks, Jaymz Clements. James, good to see you.
Thanks, Jack. I just took my braids out, but I'm still going to try to punch on with LeBron at some point, I guess.
Coming up today, we go through all of our ticks and crosses from round one of the playoffs. We put a lens on some of the big names in the big games and, of course, a playoffs edition of The Big Call. James, our heads are spinning. It's been an incredible start to the playoff series so far. What have been some of your highlights?
Some of the highlights, I'll tell you what, Jack. How about that Knicks crowd over there in New York? They are rolling. It doesn't matter what happens in that series. I just love the Knicks fans being up and about. You know why? Because I love Knicks fans getting their expectations built up because it's so much funnier when they get inevitably destroyed. No, look, this is such a fun, awesome, wild series, this Cavs-Knicks one, because it's the Knicks defense. It's Tibbs just going, hey, you wanted me fired at the start of the year, Knicks fans, and he's just turned this complete season around. I've enjoyed that. But really, what we've seen, I think, Kings-Warriors has been the absolute epitome of what we want to see from playoff basketball. It has been absolutely amazing. We almost saw Harrison Barnes have the fairy tale finish to put the dagger in his old team in Game 4. He misses the 3. Off we go. That is such a great setup. Can't wait to see how that all plays out. You've got Draymond causing havoc as he does. He misses Game 3. They win without him. He didn't stomp on anybody in Game 4.
No,
very nice of him. Very nice of him to just avoid the stomping.
Tick for you.
But the cool idea of that is like Darren Fox versus Steph Curry. It's the up-and-coming team versus the old heads. That's been fantastic. And the other one, I'll let you talk about Jimmy Butler, Jack, but LeBron James, just being this good. He's, what is he, like 87 at this point?
Just had a 20-20 game. He's never had one in his career before.
22, 20-7 in Game 4. Well, yeah, Game 4. That was incredible. So, I don't know. What about you, Jack? Have you got any highlights?
Jimmy Butler, please. Let's just enjoy a moment here to talk about Jimmy Butler. 56 points, fourth highest individual playoff score of all time. He's made a name for himself. He's put this team on his back against all the odds. And look at them now, James. He's been phenomenal.
Playoff Jimmy. You love to see it.
I do.
56. That is absolutely insane. It's like one of the most efficient 56-point games you'll see as well. He tore it up. That Heat team, just defying all expectations as well. It's been absolutely unreal. I'll tell you what, leads me to be a bit disappointed in somebody though, Jack.
Oh, no.
The Milwaukee Bucks. What is going on there? That is horrible. So, I don't know. This Heat team is really fun. It's, well, not really fun. They're doing it almost in despite of themselves. But this Heat team, it really opens up for them now.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens now, but that's a weird series.
The other one I want to put on the radar is Devin Booker. So 2 40-point games in the playoff series. Goes past Charles Barkley. He's making a name for himself. This is the big stage. This is the big time of year, and Devin Booker has made a name for himself.
He's looked incredible. And this is the thing when we get to the second round, when they take on the Nuggets, there's such a great matchup there between him and Jamal Murray. And then we get to see if the Suns can do it in 4 again. Suns in 4. Suns in 4. Can't wait to see. But I don't know. Look, it's been a great playoff series so far.
They're the highs. Let's not spend too many minutes on the lows, but just tell us a couple of lows for you so far.
Well, how about just some injuries, Jack? It's just, I feel like we're having really nice series and really tough games just stolen out from under us by injuries. Paul George. Kawhi comes out that he's got a sprained or torn MCL, I believe, after playing 2 games. It's like the Clippers, they're a train wreck now. Like, what do you do with that franchise this summer? We don't know. You've got Giannis dealing with a back injury. You've got Embiid dealing with his knee injury before the start of the second round. You've got Ja Morant with his hand. You've got De'Aaron Fox with his hand. The injuries. Can we just quit it with the injuries, Jack? They're stealing all the good basketball.
It's been disappointing. It has played a role in the first round of this series. What about the Nets?
Oh, talk about disappointments. They could not punch their way out of a wet paper bag, and I feel like Jacques Vaughn was a lot to do with that. Play Patty Mills, Jacques. That's all I ask. Oh, we need some more ball handling and 3-point shooting. Patty's just there on the bench. Get him out there. What are we doing? But no, look. They were horrible. Spencer Dinwiddie thinks he's Michael Jordan. He's more Harold Miner. It's just a bit of a mess in that team at the moment. I was disappointed by Mikal Bridges, as we call him. And look, that Nets team, the Clippers team, probably my 2 biggest disappointments.
I've only got one, and this is to the people who organised the venue availability at State Farm Arena. They had no faith in the Atlanta Hawks whatsoever. They double booked Game 6 with a Janet Jackson concert.
They didn't think this would go 6 games. Come on, Atlanta. It's like, we'll be blown out by then. Pack her up, boys. We'll get Janet in. It'll be awesome.
And she'll play together again, and everyone will be happy. Here we are. I'm sure there's been plenty more surprises that are still to come, and unfortunately, a few more disappointments as well.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.
We knew the Warriors and the Kings would put on a show, and they have not let us down. James, are we thinking this series is going to go the distance?
I don't think so, Jack. I would love to think so. I want a 7-game series between these two teams. But I do think whoever takes that Game 5, I think they're going to win Game 6. I think momentum is a massive thing in this series because we've seen it just absolute swings and roundabouts. The point differential in this series is +7, I think, to the Warriors, and that's it. That's how tight this has been. We've got Steph versus De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox with a bung finger. Not his shooting hand. He played through it at the end of the fourth quarter in Game 4. I just worry about the Kings and their ability to stick with this Warriors team now that the Warriors have found a little bit more of that defensive presence. You've got Draymond absolutely carving up this team at times. I'm loving that. Harrison Barnes missing that three-pointer breaks your heart at the end of Game 4. But I think a lot of this comes down to whether or not the Kings can really fire up Domantas Sabonis, the Souvlaki King. I love him, the Souvlaki King. Look, you can only lean on Delly on the bench there and his knowledge only so much. If he was healthy, I'd throw him out there and get him to stop Steph. He's the Curry stopper. We all know that. He's done it before. He'll do it again. But Domantas Sabonis is the key to that team. And if he can't get fired up in these last couple of games, I think they're a bit cooked and the Warriors run over the top of them.
It's been a lot of fun this series. We can't wait to see how it all finishes off. No Embiid, no worries for Philly, who swept the Nets 4-0 without their superstar. James, what's the latest on Joel Embiid?
The latest is that he's sending flowers and cases of booze to Trae Young's house for extending that series against Boston. I'll tell you that much. Seriously, the fact that Atlanta have pushed Boston to at least that Game 6 makes a huge difference for the Sixers, right? Because it gives Embiid just a couple more days at the very least to get that knee healthy. So with that knee sprain, they thought, look, 1 to 2 weeks, it's going to be a bit tough. And I would sort of worry about his availability for Game 1. And if you're the Sixers, you're oh, can we get Atlanta to push Boston to a Game 7, please?
Yeah.
Let's go. And the thing is, when they do get there, Embiid is such an important piece of that Philly team. He's the MVP. We talk about this all the time, Jack. They need him healthy because if he's not healthy, this Sixers team has no chance of beating Boston. It's very simple. Without him, they're cooked. With him, they have a chance. Halfway there, Embiid, it's not going to do it either. I really worry about that series for Sixers fans.
A little shout out to Paul Reed as well. Double-double. Very important performance by him.
B-ball Paul is awesome. But James Harden has sort of passed the point where he can really just sort of step up and take over a series like this, which it really all comes down to Embiid. And Boston is so well equipped to deal with even a slightly hobbled one. So I reckon not great looking for Sixers fans.
Not good for Sixers fans at all. We'll keep an eye on them though because we know at full strength they're a very, very good team. Well, they say that good offense comes from good defense. James, were you impressed with the way that the Nuggets got this right against the Timberwolves?
Was I, Jack? No. Will I be again when they play the Suns? Again, probably not. Look, this is such a weird Denver team right now. Look, I want to see a team tested when they play in the playoffs. This is the 1 seed. They take on a play-in team in the Wolves, and they win 4-1. It wasn't the wildest convincing of 4-1 wins, right? Look, they sort of play with their food a little bit. I want to see you tested, but I don't want to see you tested by literally just Ant-Man. Karl Anthony Towns, who goes completely MIA every time he plays in the playoffs. I wanted to see a little bit more from Denver, but the way they sort of eventually handled it and sort of got over the top, especially that 12-0 run at the end of Game 4, it's sort of just a bit of fight. But look, the Wolves really took it to this Denver team. So that put a little bit of worry in my brain for when they go and take on the Phoenix Suns, right? Because you think about KD, Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. Yeah. This is an entirely different kettle of fish for the Nuggets. But look, the Nuggets, they're going to put up a fight. They'll be really good. You've still got Nikola Jokic. You've still got Jam and Jamal Murray. You've got Aaron Air Gordon. And you've got Michael Porter Jr., who's absolutely crushing it so far. We missed one of these games. He wasn't very good. But I think this Denver team is set up pretty well. I just don't know if they get past Phoenix.
It's hardly convincing for Denver, but can they improve into championship contention? I think we're about to find out.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.
The action is coming thick and fast this week, so we want to take a long-range look at the big call. James, let's start with the Suns. They've put paid to the Clippers. That one is done and dusted. Now they face Denver. Can they emerge as a championship side?
Phoenix, look, can they? Yes. Will they? Also, yes. Look, this is going to be a great series. Like, this is the first cab off the rank on Saturday. It's going to be an unreal game. I think we're going to learn a lot about this Denver team and how they stand up defensively against Phoenix, because when you look at that Suns team, you go, right, obviously, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, they're your headliners. The craziest part to me is that Kevin Durant is like, what, top 13 NBA player of all time. And he's now the world's best decoy, essentially, for Devin Booker. Like, it is absolute chaos. He's dropping 30 with barely breaking a sweat as KD. So for Denver, they've got Aaron Gordon. I love him. Defensively, he's going to have his hands full carrying, the weight basically against Durant. They do have Bruce Brown as well for that Nuggets team to throw at him too. But I do think just like the top level that this Suns team can get to offensively is probably too good for this Denver team. Look, we also think about the way Denver played after the All-Star break. I think they were 15th in defense, 17th in offensive rating. The Suns were 10th in both. Like, they've just been that little bit better, and they did that without a bunch of KD. So they've looked a little bit more impressive in taking care of the Clippers. The Nuggets weren't wholly impressive taking care of the Wolves. It wouldn't surprise me if this goes the distance this series, but I wouldn't also be surprised if the Suns pulled off a bit of an upset in Game 1.
Without taking too much away from what they've done so far, Phoenix, and they handled their business against the Clippers, they did what they needed to do. Is depth an issue? Outside of the top 4 or 5 players that we know and love, beyond that, do they have some problems?
Depth and shooting are the big things, right? Because you've got Landry Shamit out there. He's not being able to hit a shot. You've got Damian Lee. You've got Campaign. He came back in Game 5. He provides like a big boost off that bench. They're going to need it, right? Because they don't have enough shooting on that team, I think, to really sort of hang throughout an entire 7-game series to really knock over a team like really quickly. They have enough in Booker and KD to go that length, but it's going to come down to like absolute like clutch time, I think, when it comes to Booker and KD to get them over the line against a team like Denver.
As you rightly said, Game 1's pretty important in this series, isn't it?
Definitely. It's going to be massive, and I really do think the Suns can win it. I think you've got KD, you've got Booker. They're coming in fresh off this pretty handy Clippers defeat. They're playing really well. Denver just looks scrappy at times against the Wolves.
Did it surprise you at all that the Hawks have clawed their way back in the series against the Celtics?
Yes, it did. It really did. This was over. This series was cooked, Jack. It was all over. Pack her up, boys. You're done. And then Trae Young went, not on my watch.
No, sir.
DeJounte Murray gets suspended, and they go absolutely ham, and they get back in the series. They win in Boston. Absolute chaos times. I loved it. It was very fun. I can't see like the Hawks winning this series, but it's been crazy. Look, what it tells me more about the Celtics is that they can lose focus.
Yes.
They got ahead of themselves really in that Game 5 and that Game 6. They're like, we're better than these guys. We're going to win. You still got to win the game. It's very, very simple, right? And you sort of see someone like Jason Tatum. He goes 1 of 10 from 3, 8 of 21 overall in Game 5. And you're like, dude, come on. We just need a little bit more out of you. And it just wasn't there. So I thought they'd win by a really big margin in Game 5. They're at home. They're going to crush them. And it didn't happen. I can't sort of help shake the feeling that this is a Celtics team that really misses their old coach, Ime Udoka. He just got hired in Houston. He had some problems in Boston before the season. But you just kind of need that hard dude who's not going to take any guff from anybody just to keep them all in line. And I don't know if Jaymz is that guy. The coaching is just letting me down a little bit. The Celtics would be fine, but I would have thought they would have been absolute unbackable title favourites if they'd smashed Game 5 against the Hawks. They didn't. I have a little bit of a worry in my head now about that.
Just quickly, 76ers, what do we make of their title chance?
This all hinges on Joel Embiid, doesn't it? If he's healthy, they're good. He's not. That's the problem. Look, they're going to go into this series against probably the Celtics, let's be honest. Boston swept them in 2020. There's too many wing sort of perimeter options for this Boston team, I think, for Philly to catch up to them and to really punish them. Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Boston are just too well equipped, I think, to guard those dudes between Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Derek White. I think Philly's title chances 100% just involve Joel Embiid coming back healthy, absolutely dominating a second round series. Otherwise, yeah, I'm a bit worried.
That was a big instalment of The Big Call. Thank you, James. Go and put those braids back in as well.
I will.
They'll look fantastic on you. Remember to subscribe below, and of course, you can follow us on socials as well. Enjoy all the action, and we'll see you next week.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. You win some, you lose more.